This will serve as an introduction to some of the places in central Sofia that you'll want to see. I wouldn't describe myself as a history fanatic, but this place has everything from ancient history to more recent sites of interest. So, you'll see plenty in that category over the next few minutes. Many of the famous buildings here in Sofia either charge admission to see the inside or don't allow video. There's only one place that I paid to get into, but that's because it's such a unique attraction. I'll get to that in a bit, but I'll start with my favorite place of all, the St. George Rotunda Church. There is quite a history to this building. It actually wasn't built as a church, but instead started out as a Roman bath. It served as a mosque for a while, and now belongs to the Bulgarian Orthodox Church.
I find it very impressive that at the moment, it is a fully functioning church.
For a structure that was erected in the 4th century AD, it is in remarkably good shape.
This building here that you're looking at is the oldest building in Bulgaria, preserved with its whole construction and the roof. And because it was built in 4th century, you can imagine it underwent some renovation and reconstruction over the years.
The location of St. George Rotunda Church is a little odd. It is surrounded on all sides by big, imposing government buildings. There was a communist regime when the larger structures were built, and the placement around the church was to essentially hide it. Equally as intriguing as St. George are the ruins that are situated beside it. What can be seen are a portion of a Roman street. There is also some preserved drainage. Archaeologists say that the site contains the foundation of a large basilica and several smaller buildings. The site is totally open, and it's possible to walk through and amongst the ruins. Doing so provides an incredible sense of exactly what this was like some 1700 years ago, and what the people did and how they interacted. Nestled in amongst the government buildings, this is somewhat hidden, but GPS should get you there every time. It might be necessary to search a bit for the opening, which allows access to the site. Any work that is needed to get here is absolutely worth it. Not all that long ago, nobody even knew this site existed. These are ruins from the Roman city of Serdica. That's what Sofia was called back in the early days. It wasn't until a metro stop was being built here that these remnants of that earlier time were found. They were uncovered from 2010 to 2012. The site is huge, covering about 9,000 square meters and containing up to 8 Roman streets, an early Christian basilica, and numerous houses. The ruins date anywhere from the 4th to the 6th century. Part of the find is now covered, but part is out in the open, just steps from the metro entrance. In some cases, there were attempts to reconstruct some of the walls, which has inspired a fair amount of criticism. I don't know how well it can be seen, but there is a brown line in many places, and what lies below that is the original material. Close to the ruins is a very small Bulgarian Orthodox church. It is called the St. Petka Church. It is partially dug into the ground and features walls that are 1 meter thick. This was built in the 11th century, and it is particularly striking because of its position, as the modern city has grown up all around it. Another portion of the ancient city of Serdica that has been preserved is the Eastern Gate. It is located within an underpass near the metro station. Also present is the original Roman street with large stone plates. Archaeologists say that the eastern gate of the fortified city and the connected street were last repaired in the 6th century. In this area there are a number of other relics and ruins from that same time period. There were actually 3 entrances to the city in this location, 2 for pedestrians and 1 that was wider. They were protected by 2 adjacent towers. Back on the surface, this part of the city is home to the statue of Saint Sophia. This statue was constructed in 2000 and replaced a statue of Lenin, which previously occupied the same spot. The statue and the pedestal on which it stands place the figure about 24 meters high. It cannot be missed outside of the Serdica metro stop and in the middle of a busy intersection. There was some controversy about the statue, as several pagan symbols were said to be included, which was unbecoming of a saint. The St. Sophia Church is actually what gave the city its name. Churches have been located at this site since the 4th century, but earlier ones had been destroyed by invading forces. This structure was built in the 6th century. This is one of the highest points within present-day Sofia, and it could be seen as people approached the walled city of Serdica. There were references to people approaching the Sophia church as they were headed to Serdica. Eventually, in the 14th century, the city took on the name of the church. Just outside of the church is a solemn spot of remembrance. This eternal flame at the tomb of an unknown soldier is dedicated to Bulgarians who lost their lives in the pursuit of freedom. It is guarded by the lion statue, which was placed there as a sign of strength and as a symbol of Bulgaria. Sofia's most famous landmark sits just steps away from all of that. This is the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. Built in the Neo-Byzantine style, it is enormous and can hold around 5,000 people inside. As well as being a primary symbol of Sofia, it is also the main tourist attraction.
It used to be the biggest one of the entire Balkan Peninsula, speaking about Christian Orthodox cathedrals.
The cathedral was built in honor of Russian soldiers who died in the fight to liberate Bulgaria from Ottoman rule in battles that covered 1887 to 1888. Plans for the structure were made the very next year, but construction didn't begin for over a decade, and then it took a great deal of time to build. This was consecrated in 1924.
It was constructed over a period of more than 20 years, especially after the Liberation War. And, this was a moment of time when Bulgarians really wanted to show the world that we are now a liberated state.
The Alexander Nevsky Cathedral is a point of pride in Sofia and all of Bulgaria. I was told that around half of the money to build it was raised directly from the Bulgarian people.
It took a lot of effort, a lot of investment, and a lot of mutual strength to create this cathedral, so we are quite happy about it, even though it's not the biggest of the Balkans anymore.
Although no longer the largest cathedral in the Balkans, this still remains as one of the 50 largest Christian churches in the world. It is remarkable and quite impressive when the cathedral's bells are set off in full voice. Just a couple more mentions of religious buildings, I promise. St. Nedlaya Cathedral is a prominent building near the city center. The structure that is seen today was built in the mid-1800s. That replaced churches that had stood at this site since the 10th century. Finally, the Bani Bashi Mosque is a stunning building that dates to the 16th century. It is from the time when the Ottomans ruled what is now Bulgaria. The structure is built atop some of the city's hot springs, and its name is a reflection of that. While there were once around 70 mosques in Sofia, this is the only one that is still functioning and serving the Muslim population here. This is the National Theatre of Bulgaria, officially the Ivan Vasov National Theatre. Vasov was a 19th century poet and playwright. One of his works was the first ever performed at this theater. Built in a neoclassical style, the theater has space for 750 in its main performance area. It faces the city garden with an impressive fountain and sculpture presiding as part of its front yard. This is the oldest theater in the country, having been founded in 1904. This place has quite the history. Today, this is the Regional History Museum, or you could just as well say the Sofia History Museum. Initially, however, it was created as the Municipal Central Mineral Baths Building. That was in the early 1900s. Today, there are fountains out front, which provide access to the mineral springs on which the building sits. The Art Nouveau style of architecture of the building is stunning, making this one of the most attractive structures in the city center. The park in front, complete with a fountain, is a prime gathering spot for the residents of Sofia. I was told that there are plans to convert some of the space inside of the museum back into a mineral bathhouse. Mineral springs are plentiful in and around Sofia. There are over 40 individual springs. Water comes out of the ground at temperatures between 30 and 90 degrees Celsius. The cool thing is that all of that water is available to the public totally free of charge. There are fountains in numerous places, but the most popular spot is here, a few steps from the History Museum. People are here constantly. They either just take a handful or bring bottles and jugs to fill with the water that comes straight out of the ground. It is not refreshing straight from the source, as this is hot water. Take it home and refrigerate it, however, and the product is something for which others pay significant money elsewhere. The water is purported to have healing or medicinal powers, with some saying it is good for the heart and others claiming it helps just about everything else. The lions out front are pretty sweet, but otherwise I'm not sure that the Sofia City Court building would be worth mentioning. The reason that I am is because this is where the outings offered by free Sofia Tours begin. Volunteer guides provide both English and Spanish-speaking tours of some of the high points of the city center. My guide was Mina.
Some 6,000-7,000 years ago, indeed, the first people came to these lands.
Free tours are offered at least once a day, every day of the year.
The idea is to make it possible for every person visiting Sofia to join a free walking tour so that they can get to know the story behind Sofia as the capital of Bulgaria, but also as one of the most ancient cities in Europe.
Whether you are in Sofia or almost any other major city, there will be free tours that are available. They are great ways to be introduced to a new place and have a little bit of information right near the start of a visit.
I think it's a good opportunity to join a walking tour just to get a basic idea of the context behind the city.
It must be difficult to decide what to include and what to leave out in a city such as Sofia, which contains so much that could be included. This next site is particularly impressive. It's the National Palace of Culture, that's abbreviated NDK here. It is the largest multifunctional complex in Southeast Europe and hosts around 300 events each year. This was opened in 1981 to commemorate 1,300 years since the founding of the Bulgarian state. The fountains in front are striking, starting quite a distance away and growing in height as they get closer. The palace includes over 80 big works of art, and most are on the interior. There is one on the outside, though, that would be easy to miss. It is a beautiful little spot right in front of the building that is below street level. This also contains fountains and artistic elements, and it seems as if you found something secret when you stumble upon it. So, this is the one attraction for which I paid to gain admission. This is called the Red Flat. It's a museum unlike any other I've ever seen. Located in a regular apartment building, the Red Flat is seemingly preserved as a time capsule from the final days of communism in Bulgaria. The time period is from the 1980s, and this was the home of a real-life couple and their young son. It looks like they just went out for an afternoon in the park and you walked in after they left. There are several rooms to explore. For instance, it's a one-bedroom apartment, so there is also a bed for the boy in the main living area. There is an audio tour that gives information at over 40 different stops as you move through the apartment from room to room. It truly is like parting the Iron Curtain to see how regular people live behind it. The final story, as they call it on the audio tour, discusses what happened to the people who lived here. The family struggled to find its way after the fall of communism. Ultimately, however, the father, mother, and son were able to successfully transition to their new way of life. They are all said to still be living in Bulgaria. I wonder if they ever return to the Red Flat to see their things and reminisce about the years they spent here. Cost to visit the Red Flat was less than $10. I thoroughly enjoyed this next place. It's called the Nevsky Bazaar, or more commonly, the Women's Market. Just look at some of the fantastic produce that is available here every day. This market was established in 1878, right after the end of Ottoman rule, making it the oldest open-air market in the city. Just about anything is available here in terms of produce. Other goods are found in the market, and there are some small restaurants as well. The colorful produce is what is so stunning, and the market extends for several blocks. It's a good thing it is so big, too, as estimates are that more than 60,000 people visit this place every day. The market is just a short walk from the city center. One thing that you'll notice quickly about Sofia is that there's graffiti just about everywhere. Some of it is very high level, absolutely earning the right to be called street art. There is quite a bit that can be seen just by walking around the city center and nearby areas. The vibrant colors, the artistic design, and the expertise shown in creating the pieces make them a pleasure, and they can truly brighten up a street. It's possible to go on the Sofia Graffiti Tour, which is operated by street artists and others interested in the community. I didn't do that, but I saw some of the artwork that was included on the tour. Finally, Sofia Boulevard is one of those places that draws you back time after time. The pedestrian-only street that is lined with shops, restaurants, and places to drink extends for about a kilometer. Street performers are also on hand to entertain the passing crowd and in turn make a little money. It's always lively and there's plenty to see each time it is visited. It quickly became one of my favorite places in the city, and I believe I've gone to Sofia Boulevard at some point every day that I've been here. Sofia is big with over 1.2 million inhabitants. There is a lot going on here, historically, culturally, and artistically. Once you come to this city, you might not want to leave right away, as there is so much to discover.
I think you will be surprised when you visit Sofia because most of the people have zero or no expectations, but when they come here, they leave with a lot of good impressions.
Seeing all of those major sites here in the center of Sofia was so much fun. It's certainly easy enough to walk to all of the locations that I've featured over the past few minutes. My suggestion would be to take the free Sofia tour as soon as you arrive into town, as that's a perfect way to hit some of the highlights. I still have plenty of time to explore Sofia, and I'm even dashing over to Plovdiv for a few days to check out what's happening there. Plovdiv is considered the oldest city in Europe, and it has some incredible archaeological sites. I can't wait to get there, and I can't wait to share what I find next time on Old, Alone, and Far From Home.